for this new season. Thank you for this new year, God. Thank you for the new mind, the new heart, the new will, the new desires, God, and the new blessings that will flow from it all. And we give you all the honor and all the praise. In Jesus' mighty, awesome, magnificent name, we pray. Amen. And amen. Give God praise. In the house, if you would, turn with me. Let's get right to the Word of God. Acts chapter 2. Acts chapter 2, starting at verse 42. We'll read 42 through 47, and then if you have your Bibles, you can flip over to chapter 4. We'll read 32 through 37, or if you have your app, then just switch chapters. So we'll read Acts chapter 2, verses 42 through 47, and then we'll read Acts chapter 4, 32 through 37. Glad to see all of you. My brother Lawrence is in the building from Koinonia Christian Church. Thank God for him, from our parent church, his wife and his family that's here with him. He sung on the praise team. That's a baritone. Your baritone right there. That's a deep singing. The first tenor, it sounds deep. It's deeper than all of us brothers up in here. We should have let you put some deepness on that praise team this morning. If you're there, say there. Again, we're glad to see all of those who came to be with us on this morning. Verse 42, it says, "And they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and the fellowship, to the breaking of bread and the prayers, and all came upon every soul, and many wonders and signs were being done through the apostles, and all who believed were together and had all things in common. And they were selling their possessions and belongings and distributing the proceeds to all as any had need. And day by day, attending the temple together and breaking bread in their homes, they received their food with glad and generous hearts, praising God and having favor with all the people. And the Lord added to their number day by day those who were being saved." Roll with me to 2 chapters later, Acts chapter 4. Read verses 32 through 37. "Now the full number of those who believed were of one heart and soul, and no one said to any of the things that belonged to him was his own, but they had everything in common. And with great power, the apostles were giving their testimony to the resurrection of the Lord Jesus, and great grace was upon them all. There was not a needy person among them, for as many as were owners of land or houses sold them and brought the proceeds of what was sold and laid it at the apostles' feet, and it was distributed to each as any had need. Thus Joseph, who was called by the apostle Barnabas, which means son of encouragement, a Levite, a native of Cyprus, sold a field that belonged to him and brought the money and laid it at the apostles' feet." You may be seated on this morning. I want to speak from the subject, the forward church. The forward church. Is it all right if we have a family meeting? Y'all believe that every now and then, brother, you got a family, every now and then the family needs to just get down and sit together, right? You agree with that? That we need to just get down and sit and have a meeting? I really, to be honest with you, I wanted to have a couch and get a couch and just sit up here, just sit down and just have a family meeting with Pastor. But I'm going to have to stand and do that because Felix wouldn't let us borrow his couch. No, I'm just playing. But let's just have a fun meeting this morning, so I won't have a bunch of catchy phrases and rhymes trying to get you emotionally high or whatever. But we want to talk, and I want to talk about the church. Is that okay if we talk about the church for this Sunday and possibly next Sunday? Last week we kicked off this year-long. This is a year-long series titled Forward. Why? Because this is our charge. So I gave you guys the charge last week. The charge for this year that God gave us is forward, right? Our charge, and I believe that not only us, but any believer, is to move forward. What's the definition of forward? It's onward so as to make progress toward a successful conclusion. Y'all, let's read that together, okay? I'm reading from back here. Y'all read it. 1, 2, 3. Onward so as to make progress toward conclusion. That's the charge for 2018 for the Link Church and those who are connected to us. Don't trip if you're a guest and you're not a member of the Link Church. You feel like, man, I came on the wrong Sunday. I should have came on another Sunday where he was going to talk to me. No, because I'm going to talk to you too. somewhere else, then you're a member of the body of Christ. And the thing that I discussed today, you can take back to your church, and you can be a greater asset and a greater benefit and blessing to the church that you attend. It's all about God's kingdom. Listen, now is the time for us to throw away what culture has taught us. Culture has taught us to be me-centered. That's what it's all about, right? It's all about me. It's all about getting what I want, getting what I need. But God taught us to be outward focused. He taught us to look at others. He said, love your neighbors as what? As you love yourself. So what God taught us as believers, it actually contradicts what we've learned in culture, to put yourself first, get what you got to get, do the doggone thing, and make sure you have everything you need and forget everybody else. Leave some crumbs for somebody else, but that's it. But that's not what God desired for the church. We have too many selfish people in the church. So today is not going to be one of those days where you're going to give me a whole lot of high fives and amens after church. I get it, because it's going to be just like the boot camp that I went to yesterday. Because of Felix, I found out how out of shape that I actually am. But sometimes that's what you need. You need to see where you actually are, because then it gives you a new mindset and a new desire to want to move forward in your life. Because after the boot camp yesterday, I was like, Dana, I got to get in the boot camp. I need to find a place where I can go, Casey, like 3 or 4. I'm like, man, if I could go to the boot camp 3 or 4 times a week, brother, I'll be looking real good, right? I'll be looking real good. I already look good, but brother, I'll look better if I can get in the boot camp that 3 or 4 times a week. But I wasn't mad at Felix because he exposed how out of shape I was. I was actually happy. So on your way out today, I'm going to expose some stuff to you, but don't be mad at me. Just high five me on the way out and say, Pastor, I thank you for showing me how out of shape that I really am. So let me start by telling you, so some of us, we're just too selfish in the church, and selfish members will not allow a church to move forward. We're going to have to grow and get to a place to where our church, whether you go here or somewhere else, we have a selfless attitude and a selfless mindset. Pastor, you got to break it down. Selfish people come to church and say, what can you do for me? That's what selfish people do. Selfish people, Bunny, they go to church and say, I wonder what I can get out of that church. That's the 100% determining factor nowadays on the majority of people when they join the church. It's all about what can I get out of it. Go to a church, let's see what the preacher can do for me. Let's see if the first lady what the first lady can offer me. Let's see what the women's ministry can offer me. Let's see what the children's church can offer me. And there's nothing wrong with any of that. But what if you went to a church and you find out that the children's ministry wasn't as adequate for your children as you desire? Does that make you not want to join the church? If it does, it's the selfishness. The selfless person says, you know what? Maybe I can join that church because there's a need in the children's ministry. And maybe I'm the one that can actually fulfill the need. So when I go to church, it's not all about what I can take from the church, but the selfless person said that I want to give to the church as much as I take from the church. Asking yourself, am I selfless or am I selfish?
That's good.
So Felix, the selfish person, they when they have some needs, sis, brother, financial needs, when they need some gas, when they need some food, they go to the church and they ask for it, right? And they get what they need. And then when income taxes come around and they balling, they give the church $10 in offering. The same person that took from Feed My City is the same person that won't give to the church. The selfish person is the person that says, I'm sick, I need 5 people to call me or I'm leaving the church. I'm sick, the pastor better call me or I ain't coming back to church no more. The first lady better call, the women's director, she know good and well she ain't seen me in 2 weeks and she ain't called me, I'm leaving. That's a selfish spirit. But the selfless person says that it's okay, I do want somebody to call me when I'm sick, but guess what? I'll call somebody else when they're sick too. See, the selfish person, they want everybody to visit them and want everybody to call them when they're sick and visit them when they're in the hospital, but then when somebody else is missing, they ain't calling nobody. When somebody else is sick, they ain't calling nobody. When somebody else is sick, they ain't praying for no one. We say, hey, so-and-so is sick, they ain't ain't trying to come, and they ain't going to the info table. They're not asking me, Pastor, if the selfless person is going to say, Pastor, is there anybody who's sick? Can I call them for you? Is there anybody in the hospital? Because I hadn't heard. I just want to make sure a couple hospital visits. Why? Because I'm on vacation all week long. I ain't got nothing else to do. That's the selfless person. I'm going to challenge you this year in every area of your life. If you don't want to be challenged, the Link Church ain't for you this year. Come back next year, maybe we'll do something different. But this year, I'm challenging you in every area of your life. Your marriage, your finances, parenting, your career, the business that God wants you to start. This is the year. What's the theme for this year? Forward. That's the challenge. What's the proclamation? Is that 2018 is the year of progress and the year of moving forward towards success. Repeat that after me. I gave it to you last week. I'm going to have to give it to you every week until you memorize it, okay? Let's read that together. 1, 2, 3. 2018. And I'm going to add this, but we're not going to put it on there, in every area of your life. After the boot camp yesterday, Felix, I determined that I can't pick and choose what areas I want to move forward in, because if that's the case, then I'm really not moving forward. Because if you look at my body, if my direction is to go there, it's hard for me. How can I take off the pieces of I can't leave my arm here and go there. I can't leave one of my legs here and go there. So I got to take all of me. So that means that I got to move forward in my health. I got to move forward spiritually. I got to move forward financially. I got to move forward. I got to move forward in every area of my life. Somebody declare that this year is the year of progress and moving forward towards success in every area of my life. Okay, let's get into it. I was going to recap last week, but I'm not even going to go through there. But as I said, I want to talk to the Link Church because I want us to be the forward church. If we look at the book of Acts, I believe that we get the perfect example of what a forward church is by looking at the first church. If we look at the first church, man, thousands were getting saved by the day. People were getting saved and joining the church every single day. People were being healed by touching on the elders, the preachers, the ministers, deacons. People's lives were being changed. They were coming out of sin. They were leaving idolatry and witchcraft and all of the demonic things. Demons were being cast out of people's lives. Marriages were being destroyed. And people's lives were just being completely changed by the impact of the first church. I believe that we can just declare that they were a forward-moving church. They were moving forward. Everything that they laid out to do, it was being done. Everywhere they stepped their feet on, guess what? They were planting another church. People were being saved. People were being baptized. And all of the evidence of miracles, signs, and wonders were being done by the first church. And I believe that if the Link Church and any church in this city decides to be a forward-moving church, that we can accomplish the same thing that the first church accomplished. It's not about comparing the numbers. So it doesn't mean that we'll necessarily get 3,000 people saved in one day. It doesn't necessarily mean that every day somebody will be saved. But I believe that people will be saved when we become a forward-moving church. I believe that we'll be able to lay hands on the sick and people will recover because we're a forward-moving church. I believe that at this altar we'll be able to cast out demons, that marriages will be restored, that people's lives will be changed because we're a forward-moving church. I believe that like the first church, they were feeding people daily. That's the goal for the Link Church, to take Feed My City from an annual event to a daily event. I believe that we can do that if we become a forward-moving church. But if we're going to be a forward-moving church, then we got to have forward members. Why? Because the church is not a building.
Yes, sir.
This is just where we meet, because y'all remember when we had to have church outside.
Yes.
That was Faith's idea. It was hot, 100-degree weather. That was your idea, wasn't it? It wasn't? Okay. So we was outside 100-degree weather. It didn't change. God moved. God came. People came down. They got saved at 100-degree weather because it wasn't about the building.
Yes, sir.
because the church is made up of the people. And I'm a staunch promoter that any field or area that you go into, nugget, side note for anybody who plans to start a business this year, wherever you're going, whatever that business is, find some people who've already been successful in that business and look and see what they've done. So what I want to do today is I want to examine and look at this forward-moving church, this first church in Acts, and see what they did. And we can model ourselves, not from A to Z, but from the general principle standpoint, and put ourselves in a position where we can move forward. And I believe that when we become a forward-moving church, anything that we want to do, I believe that God will open up the door for us to do it. Amen? All right, let's look. Let's go to the text. Acts 42, it says they devoted themselves, they is the church, to the apostles' teaching. Let's stop right there. Number one, if you're writing, the forward church was a consistent church.
That's good.
The forward church was a consistent church. Pastor, where in the world did you get that from? Devoted. That right there. That right there. Consistency. That's what devoted means. Devoted. That word devoted, it literally means continually devoted. In that Greek word proskarterio, it means to continue despite difficulty. It said that they were devoted. They were consistently devoted. They decided that I'm going to stick to this thing. I'm going to do this thing regardless of the difficulty of it. There were some people in here that God was speaking to come down and allow us to pray with you so that you can gain the strength to make it through the difficult times in your life. And sometimes when you're a new believer, that's the most difficult time in your spiritual life. Why? Because you're trying to find yourself. You're trying to build a relationship with God. You have so many questions in your head. You've heard so much about how God is supposed to deal with us. You don't know what's true. You don't know what's false. You don't know if God is present. You don't know if God is unavailable. You don't know if he's blessing. You don't know if he's not blessing. You don't know if he's opening up doors or if he's closing doors. So it's a confusing time, and Satan knows it's a confusing time. So he tries to bring a distraction in your life. He tries to make it difficult for you. But the Bible said that this forward-moving church had members who were devoted. They were staying consistent despite what they endured. They were a consistent church. Consistency is something that we always want from God, but not always willing to give to God. Pause right there. You need to meditate on that. Give me some. Consistency is something that we always want from God, but not always something that we're willing to give to God.
Help us.
Every day we wake up, we want God's grace. God, I need your grace today just like you gave it to me yesterday. Every day, God, I want you to be a gracious God. Every day, God, I'm taking my time this morning.
Yes.
Every day, God, I want you to be this loving God. Every day, God, I want you to be this forgiving God. I'm going to sin tomorrow, God. I'm going to sin Wednesday, God. I'm going to sin, it's already projected, God, I already know. I'm going to sin by Friday. Something's going to happen. The party's in 2 weeks. I'm probably going to sin that night. But God, that same day I sin, I need you to be the same loving and graceful and merciful God on Sunday when I was worshiping you. I don't want no God that's changing on me now. Come on now. If you had patience with me last week, God, don't change on me this week. I want some patience this week. You was blessing me when I came 3 weeks straight. We get glory, like, I'll get some glory out of coming 3 weeks straight. That's amazing. That's awesome. And then we like, when I don't come 3 weeks, okay, God, I need you to be the same. Who wants to be in a relationship with someone who's not consistent? You don't want to be sisters? You don't want no man who ain't consistent? He can't be perfect, but he can be consistent now, right? Brothers, I know you don't want no inconsistent woman. I need you to be consistent faithfully. Okay? That's what we want. But why are we not willing to give what we really want? Especially when it comes to God. Like I said, Mother Sherry, we want all this consistency from God. Be this consistent lover. Be this consistent carer. Be this consistent keeper. But then when it comes to him, I don't want to be a consistent churchgoer. I don't want to be a consistent financial giver. I don't want to be a consistent volunteer that serves on a consistent basis that can be trusted. God, I don't want to be this consistent person that worships you. It just depends on how I feel. Okay, God, I don't feel like worshiping this Sunday. I don't feel like putting my hands in the air and declaring and singing with the song. I'll do it next week when I feel like it. I ain't get a lot of sleep last night. I ain't come in from the club. I ain't even get a chance to get the step off my hand. So I ain't into all that right now, God. I'll give it back to you next Sunday. I can't be consistent, but you want the consistency. I'm challenging you. Every point today I'm going to give you, there's a challenge. Increase the consistency in your life when it comes to God. Okay, the Bible says that there were two things that they were consistent at. Okay, one, they were consistent in learning the teachings of Jesus Christ. So that's what he said. They were devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching. All they were teaching was Jesus Christ. That's it. All they were teaching them was what Jesus Christ told them in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. They were just sharing how Jesus Christ said, this is how you live, this is how you walk, this is how you talk, this is how you treat people, this is how you give, this is how your heart should be, these are the type of thoughts you should have. That's all they were doing. The Bible says they were consistent in learning the teachings of Jesus Christ. If you skip over to that verse 46, it said that day by day, they attended the temple together. They were going and hearing and learning the word. It was a daily thing for the first church. That's rough, right? How many of y'all couldn't have been a part of the first church? Ain't nobody raised their hand. You come to church once a month. They was coming to church once a day. They was going to church every single day. And some of us, I'm turning my back because I don't want you to say I'm looking at you. We can't even come to church once a month. And they were going to church every day. But look what was going on in their life. Am I saying we need to come to church every day? No. Because I ain't going to church every day. I am the church, so I'm going to have church with me. But you know what? I'm going to learn something about God every day. Yes. I'm going to spend some time with God every day. Yes. I'm going to worship God every day in some way, form, or fashion. Yes. I'm going to pray to God every day. Those are things that I'm going to do every day. That was something that the first church was doing. Remember, it wasn't a building. It was the people. Yes. The people were learning about God every day. They were growing spiritually every day. Why? Because they were consistent in learning the teachings of Jesus Christ. Catch this. Don't be thirsty for the blessings of God and not be thirsty for the word of God. Look at your neighbor and say, you just thirsty. You just thirsty. For the wrong thing. Joe, nasty, thirsty, sitting on this man. Don't be thirsty for what God can give you. Be thirsty for who he is. Don't be a gold digger. That's a good one. Write that down. Spiritual gold digger. You spiritual gold digger. You just want to be with God because of what he can offer you. Man, I don't know about you, but I'm trying to go to a place to where God, if you don't ever give me another thing, you've already done enough for me. I'm not walking away from you if I don't ever get another promotion. I'm not walking away from you if I don't ever get another financial blessing. I'm not walking away from you if I get sick and you decide that it's not your will for me to be healed. Why? Because you did enough for me on the cross. That's the forward. That's the place where you're trying to get you by moving forward. Well, I'm not just to examine yourself this week and ask yourself, God, ask God, am I a spiritual gold digger? But say, God, give me a thirst for you and your righteousness. Give me a thirst for your word. Give me a thirst to want to know you, to want to learn about you. Because guess what? The reason why some of us still stuck in the sin that we're in, to be honest, is that sometimes you don't even know it's a sin. Why? Because you won't get into the Bible. You won't even know. You was like, gossiping a sin. I knew gossiping wasn't a big thing, but I didn't know it was a sin. Yeah, read your Bible. Come to Bible study. Consistency. The second thing they were consistent in living out the teachings of Jesus Christ. Listen, having a church full of people who just learn the word is not a forward church. Stay with me. Y'all gonna grow this year. Forget we hollered last week. We growing this year. We growing today, okay? A forward-moving church, a forward church, is not a church that's full of people who learn the word, who just read the word, who just hear the word. But a forward church is a church that hears it and lives it. There's a difference. There's a part one, there's a part two, right? Because we're going to talk about a lot of things that you need to do on today, but it means nothing if you don't go and live it. I'm going to give you about 4 charges today. I'm going to give you 4 forward challenges today, but if you don't accept the challenge and go out and live it, it means nothing. It doesn't mean you didn't move forward by just hearing it. You didn't move forward by writing it down in your book and putting it on your phone. You moved forward when you actually went outside and you actually lived it. You lived it. So here's the first forward challenge. I want everybody, if you got your phone, if you're writing, definitely if you're a part of the Link Church, because we're going to be following up on these. We're going to be following up on these. It's an action. What did we talk about last week when Paul said, you got to strain for what lies ahead of you? That means you're going to have to we use the example of the chair. You're going to have to let go of the chair and do some stuff. You can't move forward without doing some stuff that you've never done before. So every challenge I'm going to give you today, every challenge that I give you for the rest of this year will more than likely be something that you've never done before that will cause you to strain and stretch, okay? So the first forward challenge, we'll call it the forward challenge I'll give you from each one of these points, is the first one, increase your Sunday morning and Thursday night attendance by a monthly average of 1. Okay? Increase your Sunday morning and Thursday night attendance by a monthly average of 1. Remember, they were consistent in learning the word, hearing the word. What does that mean by the monthly average of 1? Do y'all know what that means? That means that if right now, like Robin averages 2 Sundays a month, okay? I'm calling her out. No, I'm just kidding. if you average 2 Sundays a month, the forward challenge for you is to now average 3 Sundays a month. If you average 1 Sunday a month. See, a lot of times, remember, last week I said, forward, it's not a race. It's not about speed or tempo, it's about direction. That's what forward is. Forward in 2018, it's not about reaching the end of the road by December 31st. It's not about achieving and accomplishing everything we ever wanted to accomplish in our life. Because I don't know about your dreams ought to be so big that there's no way in the world you could accomplish it all by December 31st. There's no way you should be able to do that if you got some God-sized dreams, right? So the goal is not to complete everything that you ever dreamed about, but it's about moving towards that direction. So it's not about me saying, average every from Thursday night, average every. It's growing from where you are, moving forward. So if you average 0, if it's your first time being here in 6 months, you average 0 times a month. If you average 1 time a month, the forward charge is to now average 2 times a month on Sunday. Right? If you average 1 Thursday night a month, now the forward challenge is to average 2 Thursday nights a month. If you average 0, I'm only saying add 1 Thursday night Bible study. Or whatever church you go to. If you're here and you're a member of another church, whatever it is, increase the average. That's the forward challenge for you. Increase the amount of time, just 1 on Sunday morning and just 1 on Bible study. And guess what? If you actually do that, you can look back and say, you know what? It's January 15th. I'm moving forward already. I'm growing already. I'm growing in the area of consistency. So that's the first forward challenge. The second one on this part is increase your daily Bible reading by 10 minutes. Wherever you are, it doesn't matter.
That's good.
What I'm saying is, don't ever be satisfied and content to where you are. Because some of you may be in this room and say, well, I give God 30 minutes every day. Okay, well, so you won't be so happy and feel so good about yourself. Challenge yourself, and now I'm challenging you to give 10 extra minutes. If you don't open your Bible 0 minutes a week, now I'm challenging you to just 10 minutes a day. If you usually do 10 minutes a day, now I'm challenging you to do 20 minutes a day. Usually, most of us, we can just take that out of our Facebook time. You can take that out of your Facebook time. That bathroom break, that 30-minute bathroom break Felix takes after lunch. He on Facebook the whole 30 minutes in the bathroom. Just take 10 minutes of that and just pull up the app in the Bible and just start reading John. Kiara, you take 45 minutes of bathroom probably. So that's your forward challenge for the consistency part. Increase your Sunday morning and Thursday night attendance by a monthly average of 1, and increase your Bible reading by 10 minutes. Listen, you're going to have to do something if you're going to move forward. It's not just something that you speak it, declare it, and prophesy it in the atmosphere. You're going to have to walk that thing out whether you prophesy it or not. Okay? So the second one, the forward church, was a connected church. Somebody shout connected church. Where you get that from, Pastor? They devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and the fellowship, to the breaking of bread. That word fellowship, Brother Lawrence, what does the word fellowship mean in the Greek? He's like, man, you're going to really put me on the spot right now? He don't trip, he knows it. It's koinonia. Koinonia in the Greek means fellowship. That's where they got that word from. So this forward church, that was a church that they connected. That koinonia means to partner, participation, and community. Somebody say koinonia. It means partner, participation, and community. That's what they're saying that they did. They partnered with each other, they participated with each other, and they were a community. There is a difference between a church, being a member of the church, and a member of a community. Remember that. There's a difference. You are not a part of the community of the Link Church if the only time we see you is 90 minutes on Sunday morning. You ain't part of the community. You're part of the church, but you ain't part of the community. See, when you're a part of the community, you coming out when we have family night, game night, when we have picnics, and when we go out, those things that have nothing to do with Jesus Christ. Our mission is linking people to Christ and what? Linking people together. The linking people together part, that's the fellowship part. We didn't get together just to have church. We got together to be a community, to be a family. That's good. Koinonia, fellowship, partnership, participation, community. This church, this first church, they did life together. They did life together. Doing the life together is the mark of a local Christian church community. Because in that time, becoming a believer, it impacted their entire life. Yeah. They were coming out of a culture, going into a completely different culture, and that transformation, that change, salvation, it pushed them into the arms of other believers. I got a question. If your being saved has not pushed you into the arms of a community of believers, the question I have for you is, why not? All right. Why has salvation not pushed you to want to be a part of a community of believers? Because I don't know about you, usually when you're something, you want to be a part of a larger group of some things, right? Happy Founders Day to you yesterday, right? We got a Delta right here. Don't we got another one somewhere? Another one, Happy Founders Day to you. Y'all like being around other Deltas, right? You like, why in the world do they like being around other Deltas? They can relate to each other, right? They can relate to each other. They went through some similar stuff. They had to memorize some similar stuff. They had to learn some similar stuff. They're in the same organization. They paid some money. They got them same letters on their jackets. The same tattoos on their ankles. They can relate to each other, so they want to be around each other. Yeah. So the question I ask you, and you would look at a Delta and be like, you're a Delta, but you don't want to be around other Deltas? Wow. What would you say about them? What would you say? What would you say about a Delta who didn't want to be around other Deltas, who didn't want to spend time, who want to spend time with everybody else but the Delta? They want to spend time with the AKAs, the Signalers. They want to spend time with all these other sororities except the Delta. What would you say about that person? Huh? In other words, something wrong with you. That's what she said. So she said, if you're a Christian, you're a believer, and you don't want to be around other believers, you want to spend your time with everybody else but other believers, something's wrong with you. Don't mean they don't ever kick it with AKAs. Dante, he Omega. He want to get together with some Omegas and get sweaty every now and then with their nasty baby oil looking But if he didn't, you'll say something's wrong with you, man. That's who you are. You want to be around people who are like you. But if not, then you want to ask yourself, am I even like them? Maybe that's why I don't want to be around them. I want the title, but I don't want to look like them. I want the name, but I don't want to wear the letters and the colors. Something's wrong with that person, right? I can't trust a person like that. They were a connected church. They wanted to be among other believers. Now, some of us, we all want to know what I get out of it. So here, let me give you a couple benefits of being a part of a church community and doing life together. So some of you are members of your church and members of this church, but you're not part of the community. So let me give you some benefits of being part of the community. One, like-minded friendships. That's a benefit. I'll be honest with you. My closest friends are people that I met in the church, through church. Closest friends. Well, Pastor, what about all the people that you grew up with? I still love them. We still cool, but because there was a disconnect there. Right. Because we was moving in two different directions. Because, you know, I'm going this way, they're going that way. It's natural. I say this, I have to challenge you like I did last year about forgetting people and getting out of relationships in 2017 that don't benefit you and move you forward in 2018. But to be honest with you, when you're moving forward, some relationships you don't even have to put an effort into disconnecting yourself from. So some of them you don't. When I first got out of jail, when I got out of prison, everybody was coming to my mom and them house. Everybody wanted to see me. Everybody from the hood was coming over there asking me, let's go out. Let's go hang. I got you, bro. I got drinks on me. Weed on me. Yeah. And I'm good. I'm chilling tonight. And guess what? Not one of them I ever told, no, man, I'm a Christian now. Which I was. I got saved while I was in jail. Not one of them, not one creed did I have to tell, man, I'm a man of God. I don't smoke weed no more. I'm a man of God. I don't go to the club and chase women no more. Not one of them did I ever had to do that to. All I did was kept telling them, no, I'm good. I'm chilling tonight. And guess what? Phone slowly but surely stop ringing. The reason why they keep calling you is because you keep answering. You wonder, why can't I get away from them? Guess what? Stop answering your phone. You ain't even got to run from them. Because at some point in time, here kitty kitty, you're going to get tired of saying here kitty kitty if they don't keep coming. You're going to say, you know what, I'm going to go find me a cat that'll come when I call.
Well, you teaching today.
Okay. So, the Forward Church was a connected church. So like-minded friendships. I need people in my circle who think like me, who walking like me, going in the same direction as me. So that's a benefit of not being a part of the church, but being a part of the community. Because remember again, there's a difference. Coming to church on Sunday morning don't mean you have like-minded friendships. Right. That's right. Another benefit of the church community and doing life together is accountability. We all need accountability. Why? Because we all can get weak at any moment. We all can get weak, and we need, man, I'm going to tell you something. When it rains, doggone it, it freaking pours. You know what I'm saying? And if you don't have nobody who you have fellowship with here, and you gone for 3 weeks, guess what? Won't nobody even know. They like, we don't know because we ain't connected with you, and we don't know when you're here or not, so we don't know when you're going through. All we know is this is you. You don't come to church but once a month, so we don't know when you're going through. But guess what? Let Ashley not come to church for a month, and guess what? Somebody in this mud knows something wrong. Right. She ain't got to worry about nothing. Somebody going to call her and encourage her. Why? Because she's a part of the community. Somebody's going to miss her. Because she's part of the community. It's not some clique. We will never have, cliques ain't gonna be no problem in the Link Church, not to a point to where it impacts the church. Now, of course, I know when we grow, you know, you're gonna have your little pockets of people, and ain't nothing wrong with any of that, but not to the point to where it negatively impacts the church. So, but she's part of the community, so people are gonna know when she's missing. And when she's missing, it opens up the door for accountability to say, hey, Ashley, what's going on? I ain't seen you in 2.5 weeks. I'm like, man, I'm going through on my job. I just ain't really had the desire to be here. Baby, you better get your butt to church on Sunday because that's where your blessing comes from. That's where your strength is not going to come from missing church. It's going to come from being at church. I don't know about you, but I need that in my life. Because again, like I said, when it rains, it doggone pours. You can't even blink twice and 9 different things done happen in your life. Why? Because you're human. I know you think you're a super strong spiritual thing, but the church was never designed for you to walk alone. It was never designed to be that way. We were always supposed to walk as a community. So that's one of the benefits of being a part of the community and not just the church. Like-minded friendship, accountabilities, and one more thing, we could have named 20, but the opportunity to impact somebody else's life. Again, we're trying to move from the selfish person as the mindset to the selflessness. Selfishness to selflessness. So I gave you 2 things that benefit you. Now, what about you being a part of the community so you can benefit and impact somebody else's life? Because we don't know your story. We don't know what you survived. The reason why you're here is because you survived some stuff. You can't tell me throughout your life, it doesn't matter if it's only been 22 years, you went through some stuff where the devil tried to kill you because he saw a glimpse of you being at the lake church and he tried to take you out, but you survived. But guess what? Nobody won't even know what you survived because you ain't a part of the community. We don't know that you got raped when you were 16, but you made it. You cut yourself in your wrist, but the ambulance got there in time and you lived. Guess what? When you're in the community, you'll be at the ladies' room and you'll share that testimony, and 3 people will decide not to kill themselves the next day because of what you can offer inside the community. Okay.
That's good.
The forward church was a what? A connected church. Okay. What's the forward challenge for this? Forward challenge, write down in your own way. And I've given you this challenge before, but here it is again. Go to breakfast, lunch, dinner, or coffee with at least one person you've never been out with within the next 2 weeks. If you're not a member of the Link Church, I'll still give you that challenge for your own church. Find a brother that you've never been out with and connect with them within the next 2 weeks. It could be a couple thing. It can be a group thing. It doesn't have to be this one-on-one thing. You'll be surprised. You may have some folks who got the same likes as you. Just imagine, like DeAndre and Dante and Felix. You know, unless they talk, they wouldn't have no idea that they like the same stuff. They both like playing with G.I. Joes. But if they don't talk, you gotta talk to some people to find out, Brittany. Felix sees his G.I. Joe in his hand and he thinks it's his son. He's like, oh, that's your son, G.I. Joe? I love G.I. Joes. He's like, no, this is my G.I. Joe. You want to get together and play G.I. Joes this weekend? Yeah. Where you want to meet at? Meet at my house. My wife's going to be at work. Cool. Bring all your G.I. Joes. Right? Community, man. Let's go play G.I. Joes, man. But you have no idea. You may like the same stuff. You just look around. If you're a young couple, just find another, look around and see who else is who's another young couple. You a young single? Find another young single and find out. Go out. Where we gonna go? No, can't afford $250 concert. Can't afford that, but we can go to Brahms. Right? Ain't gonna make the Jay-Z concert. It costs too much, but we can go to IHOP. Brittany, what's your name again, Steve? Brittany and Alexis, you got Faith and Kiara sitting right there. They young, they single. Y'all can go out. That's 4 good-looking women. Y'all go somewhere and don't get nobody our phone number. Take their phone number. And their name, look them up on Facebook. They got gold in the mouth. You don't call them, right? Y'all hook up. They hook up. Y'all connected. They connected. Now all 4 of y'all get connected.
Yeah, that's good.
You got a young couple over here. You got a young couple over there. Okay. I'm accepting the challenge too. Chase, y'all get ready. 2 weeks. Me and you and David going out, right? I've been to dinner with every couple in here, but y'all too, right? So y'all next. I'm accepting every challenge that I'm giving you. I'm accepting as well. 2 weeks. 2 weeks. That's the forward challenge so that we can become the connected church. Okay? One person, breakfast, lunch, dinner, or coffee. Not texting. Let's text this week. No, that's not connecting. Hey, let's become Facebook friends this week. That's cool. Start there. But we got 2 weeks before we can go to dinner and go to lunch after church next Sunday. Whatever y'all got to do. Okay? I'm helping. We're going forward, y'all, as the church, right? Okay? I got a whole year. I'm going to teach you and your whole life about going forward. So can I get 2 weeks where we can just talk about the church?
Yes.
Okay, because this is what you're a part of. Okay, number 3. We got 2 more. The forward church was a corporate praying church. The forward church was a corporate praying church. 42, the C part of that, it says that they prayed. They were consistent, they were devoted to teaching, they were devoted to fellowship and the breaking of bread, and they were devoted to prayer. So the forward church was a corporate praying church. A praying church is not a church where they have a praying pastor. That's not a forward church. A praying church is a church where the members pray. Yes. Right? Not just the pastor. I don't make up the church. Look how many people are in here. I don't make up this church. What I do has a minimal amount of effect in comparison to what you do. If I pray and none of y'all pray, guess what? Y'all set the culture of this church.
Wow. Wow.
Pastor, I don't know about that being true. Well, Jesus couldn't do many miracles in his own hometown. Not because he was powerless, but because of the people's faith. Where they were determined what he was able to do from a miracle, signs, and wonder standpoint. Man, God just gave me that, so I'm mad at y'all. The reason why I can't sling fire like this is because of some of y'all. Really? The reason why I can't be like Elijah and say, let it rain, and rain just fall through here is because some of y'all. I don't like y'all now. But that's real. It shows you right there. Jesus could only do what the faith of the people allowed him to do. So if that's the way it worked with Jesus, what would be the difference with me? Which means if you take your prayer to another level, then God will endow me with some stuff where we can transform people at the touch and the laying of hands. Do I got any believers in here that believe that power still exists in the church? So the reason why our nights of prayer, again, I told you, you'll find out how out of shape you are in here today. The reason why our nights of prayers are so poorly attended is because it's hard to have a praying church if we don't have praying members. Y'all ain't praying at home. Some of y'all not praying at home. That's why when we have our nights of prayers, and y'all know we have those pretty frequently. And sometimes we can have those nights of prayers for 3 weeks straight if God leads us to. I don't like doing stuff just for the sake of doing it. But that's why we didn't have prayer this month like we did last January. January 2017, we prayed every Thursday night for an hour. And when God does lead it, and we'll go into prayer on a Thursday night and we'll cancel Bible study, say it's just a night of prayer, we have less people come out than we do on a normal Sunday morning. Why is that? Because we have not personally realized and accepted the necessity of prayer. A church becomes a praying church when they realize that there's a necessity in prayer. Some of us wouldn't be in the position that we're in now if we had prayer lives. You wouldn't have been in an abusive relationship if you had a prayer life.
Ouch.
Why? Because a loving daddy would have forewarned you. If you had open ears. And he forewarned you. If you were a believer, he forewarned you. But the thing is, you were so cloudy you couldn't hear him because you didn't. It's like if you don't talk to somebody, you don't know their voice. I could call my brother out there, and you wouldn't know that was my brother if you don't know his voice. You just know that's somebody talking. I don't even know who it is. For all I know, that's my enemy telling me to come here. So I'm not going to come here because I don't know who that is. And if you don't have a prayer life, you can't hear God when he tells you, cut him off, cut her off, don't take that raise on that job.
Right.
It's going to take your passion for God away after you get so busy.
Wow.
But you can't hear it if you don't have a prayer life. And then 6 months later, you find yourself, you ain't coming to church no more. You don't even have a desire to come no more. It all stemmed because you took the job that if you would have had a prayer life, God would have just told you, that's not where I want you right now.
Right.
I'm going to give you a raise. It ain't going to come from the new job. Just wait. It's going to come from the side hustle that I gave you. But you won't know those type of things if you don't pray. Some people wouldn't have been in the marriages that they have been in. Horrific marriages. Some people in some horrific marriages because they didn't pray. Some people lost jobs because they went and worked for companies that they didn't pray about. Some people experienced some stuff in churches that they were never supposed to be members of because they didn't pray. Prayer is a necessity. God can trust a church who sees prayer as a necessity. He can trust us. He can trust us with millions of dollars. Why? Because he knows that the Link Church will pray about what to do with the money. But we need the whole church to be praying about that, right? Because if the whole church ain't praying, then he's like, I can't trust it because now you just bought a bunch of church fights. I got the leadership team praying, and then when we say this is what God's telling us to do, then I got 40 people who ain't praying saying, no, that ain't what we should do. And now we got conflict, so God says, to avoid that whole situation, I'm not even going to bless you like I want to bless you. But he says, when I can get a whole church praying, then when the pastor gets up and says, God said, walk away from this building and buy that building, everybody starts jumping and shouting. Why? Because this week God showed me the same thing, Pastor. We was all praying and God showed me the same thing. God said, do this, start this ministry, and everybody's like, oh my God, God showed me the same thing when I was praying this week. You know how ministry would be so easy if everybody was on the same page, listening and talking to the same God at the same time. I know you see something. Okay. A church that prays understands two things. One, that she has no power without God. Again, the only church that God can trust is one that knows that their power strictly lies in Him. A church that doesn't have the prayer life, they're moving on their own wisdom, knowledge, and giftedness. Wow. And that ain't the Link Church, because I know I ain't that gifted. Understand that she has no power without God. Secondly, understand that she needs guidance from God. Again, I ain't got the foresight, the wisdom, the knowledge, and 9 degrees. So I ain't got no choice but to trust God. Okay? And you have no choice but to trust God with this church. Okay, our forward challenge for this is, one, when we have our Thursday night prayers, commit to that. Individually, again, like I said, you can't have a praying church without praying members. Pray on your knees 5 minutes a day. That's the forward challenge for this. 5 minutes a day. If you're already praying on your knees 5 minutes a day, add 5 minutes to it. Forward. Not being consistent, leaving where I am, going towards a desired specific destination. Last one, and we're out of here like last year. The Forward Church was a charitable church. Somebody shout, charitable church.
Charitable church.
Look at that 44 verse. And all who believed were together and had all things in common. And they were all selling their possessions and belongings and distributing the proceeds to all as any had need. All as any had need. The Forward Church was a charitable church. The first thing, that area they were charitable in, they charitably gave to each other. Somebody shout, they gave to each other. Listen, today you can be an active member of a church and not even be able to eat because you got so many needs in your life. Guess what? You can't even be a part of a gang and have needs to eat. The gang is more committed to meeting the needs of its members than the church is.
Right.
It said that these people got together and says, you know what? If I got it, you got it. Don't get it twisted. I refuse to believe millions of dollars, just, hey, I got $1 million. Hey, bro, here's half of it. I don't think it was to that point. They were specifically talking about needs, so I don't think that one believer in any church had a problem eating because they met each other's needs. Nobody had to go without clothing. Yeah, I ain't buying you no Gucci's, but we can get you some Pro Wings. Because if you ain't got nothing, you would be praising God for them Pro Wings, okay? So that's where the Link Church needs to get to where there are no needs in the church, okay? Needs. I'm not talking about your mortgage, because if you're in a house that you never could afford, maybe you need to get out that house, and I got a bedroom you can stay in for a season, okay? Right? Sometimes we make decisions.
Yes.
That's why sometimes people come and they say, can you help pay my car note? First of all, let's look at the finances. Look at your finances. You should have never got that car in the first place. You should have got the used Honda instead of trying to get this brand new car. So you're in a position that you put yourself in. So now we don't need to help you pay your car note. We need to help you get out of that car and get you another car that you can afford.
That's right.
But needs, food, shelter, and clothing should be something that a believer ought to be able to get amongst the body of believers according to the first church that was a forward church. One of my pet peeves, I've shared this before and I'll share it forever, is when somebody in the church comes to me and tell me that another member needs food. What? You lucky I just stopped cussing last week. That's how I feel in that moment. You telling me right now that your brother has a need for food and you got time to be talking to me? You should be at the grocery store getting them some food instead of having the time to come and tell me they got a need for food. That was what this charitable church was made of. I told you I'm challenging you this year. Don't come to me talking about somebody needs some food. You go buy the food. If you got the money. There was a time when I was at Cornelius Christian Church, and I was the youth pastor, and one of our volunteer leaders lost their job. Single, not a lot of family, lost their jobs. And what we did was, as the youth ministry team, we put money together and we gave her money, right? I don't even know if the pastor knows about this today. If he does, it's because she went and told him. It wasn't because none of us went and told him. We didn't go to her. We didn't go to the pastor and say, hey, such lost their job. You think the church can be a blessing to her? No, this was our sister. We served together on this ministry team. Guess what? Another reason why you need to be a part of a ministry, if she wasn't part of a ministry, she wouldn't have got the help that she needed. That was a blessing her just being on the ministry team. If she wasn't connected on the ministry, connected to that community, she could have missed out on a believer. 7 of us put money together and blessed her when she lost her job. We didn't go to the pastor. We did it ourselves. I'm challenging the Link Church to become a charitable church. So they were charitable with each other. They gave to each other, but they charitably gave to the church. Flip over to that Acts 4, 34 and 37. This is my last one. 34 and 30 through 37. It says, there was not a needy person among them, for as many as were owners of lands. Again, they didn't have no needs in the church. They were able to provide and meet the needs. It says, as many as were owners of lands or houses sold them and brought the proceeds of what was sold. So what it was saying was, those who was blessed gave more to the church. And they laid it at the apostles' feet, and it was distributed to each as any had need. Then this dude named Joseph, called Apostle Barnabas, by the apostles Barnabas, he sold some land, got the money, and he brought it to the church. He sold a field. These were people who were blessed. Guess what? You do know that there's a gift of giving. That's the reason some of you in here have been be an extra blessing to the church.
Yes.
So you can't give like other people can give because your gift is giving. That's why he blessed you financially.
Yes, sir.
If it wasn't for those who had the gift of giving, ministry wouldn't be able to go forth.
Right.
Non-profit organizations wouldn't be funded. There wouldn't be no homeless shelters. There wouldn't be no feeding. There wouldn't be no missions in other countries. You know how that's funded? That's funded by givers. That's what these people, they saw the mission. They saw the vision and they was like, you know what? I want to give to this. And I believe that there's some people in the Link Church, I can't call you out because God won't let me, because then you'll be offended. But you have the gift of giving. And the reason why you are broke right now is because you won't give. And God knows that if I bless you, you won't give me back out of that which I first gave you. There's some people who have been called to be millionaires, and you will never be a millionaire because when God comes back to you and asks for some of it, he knows you won't give it. Joseph, you cannot tell me that was the only field he had. I refuse to, we don't have to wait to get to heaven because I refuse to believe it. But I believe he had multiple fields, and God knew if I gave him 4 or 5 fields, when I come and ask for one, he ain't gonna have no problem giving it to me. These people who sold their land, they sold houses, come on now, let's not be ignorant. You think that somebody sold their house and then went and lived on the street?
Come on now.
You think that? You believe that? You believe that that Bible, that person that he was talking about, that they sold their house and took their family and lived under the bridge? This was somebody who had multiple houses.
Yes.
And they was able to sell the one because they were so blessed.
Yes.
God was like, I'm going to give you multiple houses.
Wow.
Because there's going to come a time when I'm going to start a church.
Yes.
That I'm going to connect you with. And then I want you to sell one of those multiple houses and give it to the church so that they can meet the needs of the body of believers. That was not tithes. That was what we call sacrificial giving.
Yes.
That's what that was. Some of them probably had no idea that one day God would be calling them to give that great. But that's why he blessed them. This was a charitable church. And God just kept pouring out because he knew everything he gave. Guess what? They would be willing to give away. What's the challenge right here, Pastor? What's the forward challenge? 1, ask God to show you a person in need in your church, in this church if you're here, and then fulfill it. That's the forward challenge for this. Ask God, God, show me a need that I can meet, right? Because he'll show you a need that you can meet. Maybe the only need you can meet is buying somebody baby some $20 shoes. Maybe the only need that you can meet is buying some kid, offering some school uniforms to some kid here. Or maybe it's somebody God shows you and you just ask them, you need some gift cards to Walmart. God will show it to you. Ask him, he'll show it to you, and then fulfill it. That's the first forward challenge. The second forward challenge is to participate in what we're calling the Forward Sacrificial Giving Day on February 4th. I told you we're challenging you in every area of your life. What is forward? It's moving past where you are and going to a place that you've never been before. Some of us have never been challenged in every area of our life. So how are we challenging? We're challenging you because we're going to become the charitable church. And we're going to be able to meet the needs not only of the people here, but we're going to be able to meet the needs of the people in this community. We're going to be able to take a Feed My City, an annual event, and we'll be able to turn it into a 24/7 revolving opportunity to where anybody has any needs. You can get more than food. You can get toilet paper. You can get toothpaste. We're going to be able to do the things that God has called us and given us the desire to do. Yes. And what are we going to do? We're going to follow the model of these givers. And the challenge for this Forward Sacrificial Giving Day on February 4th is to give the biggest offering outside of our tithe that we've ever given in our life. Challenge. Anybody want to be challenged this year? I don't want you to just give any number, but I want you to actually pray about it. and say, God, what do you want to give? Because I don't believe that these people was just like, hey, I'll just give $5. God had to lay it on their heart to make that sacrificial gift of selling their land. That wasn't something that they just casually woke up one morning and did, but they had to spend some time, Casey, and they thought about it. And God said, this is what I want you to do. So this forward challenge, I'm praying, and you pray over these next few weeks, God, what do you want me to give sacrificially in this challenge? Because this year I'm moving forward in every area of my life, not just in one. And I believe that if we accept these challenges, then we'll become and we'll work towards becoming the forward moving church. I don't know about you, but I want to be the church that God can smile on. I don't know about you, but I want the Link Church to be a church that God is proud of, that God can trust. So that he can say, I can pour out power on that church. That I can send some messed up people to that church. That I can send some folks with some jacked up marriages, and I can send some folks who need healing, who need deliverance, who need freedom, who need finances. And he can trust us enough that he can say, I can send them there. And they have everything that they need. Why? Because that church is a forward church. Heads back.